Hey everyone, welcome to the United We Will Grow podcast. We are so excited that you're here as we get to reflect, refocus, and revitalize on this amazing organization that we all get to be a part of. I'm Kay Short, just one half of your host, and I crossed in spring 2010 as a part of the new class at the Omicron chapter. And I got tired of saying my nickname, but I did want to point out that I am an ace. I'm not sure when that came about in time. Maybe Patsy can let us know, but I was like, you know what? I was going to let him know. I was an ace too. And I also have my lovely sister and co-host, Candace.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I'm so excited. So, Candace Sanchez, Everlasting Epsilon chapter. I crossed. I'm going to age myself, but that's okay. I'm in great company because we age like fine wine. Crossed in fall of 2005, Mu class, and my ship name was in Still I Rise, and I'm Candace Phoenix Sanchez, and I'm so happy to be here. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest to the show. I said this with some of our other, we have a founder of our sorority here, Patsy Isherwood is here in the studio today. And I get to actually introduce everybody. I mean, I think a lot of us sisters know who Patsy is, but when I read her bio, I was like, oh my goodness. Talk about giving back to the community, why our organization exists. These founders are actually magic in my eyes. They came together, they were a force to be reckoned with, and I'm just so happy to introduce Patsy. And I know Patsy and I have really bonded on a whole nother level. So again, I believe in divine design, and Patsy, I'm going to introduce you to our lovely, lovely audience here. So Patsy Isherwood has been employed by the city of Phoenix since May of 2018. Now, Patsy's going to say her maiden name because I don't want to chop it up in any way, shape, or form. So, Patsy, would you please do my honors in making sure you introduce you by your founders, the way we know you as a founder's last name?
It's Guardado.
Thank you. And so I'm going to finish reading her bio. So she is the supervisor for the Water Customer Service Department. This position includes supervising, training supervisors, overseeing new hires, ongoing training, and curriculum creation. Prior to working at the City of Phoenix, she worked at CenturyLink, a communications provider, for over 18 years. During her time at CenturyLink, she worked as a collections agent, collections supervisor, and a new hire trainer for her department. While employed at CenturyLink, she was honored with numerous monthly Top Team awards, the President's Club Award, the quarterly Top Team Bravo Awards, 12 in total for that award, and she was in the third, I want to say, Patsy, was it the third time yearly Destination Ovation winner?
I was.
Is that the right title?
Correct.
Okay, for being part of the top 2% performing supervisor team for the entire company. Wow. While at CenturyLink, she served on the Hispanic Resource Group, called SOMOS, on the board of directors for over 15 years as the director of finance. She was also part of the community engagement team for over 10 years, participating in all community volunteer events. She was also recognized by CenturyLink for her volunteer work at the AEZ Arizona Diamondbacks game, along with other Hispanic leaders. In 2012, she received the 40 Under 40 Hispanic Leaders Award from the Arizona Chapter of Commerce for her contributions to the community. And we all know her Gamma involvement. She is the national founder. She was the director of operations for 2 years, and she's currently a member of the advisory board. Her passion has always been serving her community, so evident by her bio, serving those that are underserved, making a difference in her free time by donating her time, money, or both. She has 4 amazing children, Sonia, Mateus, Kevin Jr., and Christian, and their education has always been a primary focus. Of all the titles she has held and accomplishments she has achieved, being their mother has been her greatest accomplishment of all. Making sure that she's raised responsible, productive members of society has always been her focus. Therefore, she is an active parent and has served on her children's booster clubs, PTA boards, sports clubs, and volunteers numerous hours at the schools they all attended. In her free time, Patsy, do you really have free
Right.
time? Just kidding. In her free time, she likes to read, travel, garden, and attend sporting events with her husband, Kevin, along with her family and friends. So welcome, Patsy, to the show. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. It's such an honor. Such an honor. It's like,
Yeah,
It
I'm
is
just
our
like,
honor.
I'm like, do you want to be my mom?
She She kind of is our mom, right? If you think about it, founding madres that we call
Yes,
them. Yes.
yes.
Right, that's true. That's true. But if we could go back, I need you to go to my PTA because my teachers were on me like Donkey Kong. It was not a fun time. My mom couldn't even show up. So you let me know if we want to go back 20 years. That'd be
Right, my
awesome.
pleasure. Yep.
Yeah, that's so incredible. Thank you so much again for being here. And again, I'm just like, okay, let's jump into this because I want to go back. I want to go back to 18-year-old Patsy when she's just at ASU in Tempe, Arizona for the first time, most likely as a first generation college student
Yep.
also. And how in the world, who did you find who? How did this word gamma come about for you? And like what is your part in the story of creating this amazing organization?
So attending Arizona State was a total shock for me. Definitely, as the girls have stated, we didn't see women of color. Even if there, I just didn't see anyone who looked like me, who I shared the same common values or goals. And it was just by chance. I mean, I've known Amy Felix forever. We went to high school together, Sandra Science as well, went to the same high school. And then Michelle Stanez and I were part of the Hispanic Mother-Daughter Program, which is a program that is at Arizona State, helps those who are first generation to get you ready. It starts in seventh grade. So I knew the ladies. I saw them in passing, but we really didn't spend time together. And it wasn't until the brains of our foundation, Amy and Michelle, decided to, hey, let's do this. And they ran out into me at the Memorial Union and were like, hey, we'd like you to do something with us. And I was like, okay, let's do something. I think we all say that at our age, we really didn't realize what we were embarking. We just knew that there was a need. We wanted something out there for ourselves and for women in the future. But I don't think any of us really ever knew what Gamma would become. Just being honest, like we had no idea, because when you're young, you're just like, let's do this, let's go full force. And then I look back 30 years and I'm just like, wow, we did it. We did
It's
this. And
It is.
what a blessing.
Oh, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
love
So,
how you said
yeah.
Amy and Michelle were kind of, I love how you said Amy and Michelle were kind of like the force, and they rallied up like other sisters that they felt common ground with. Because I know talking to them, we felt that. And it is just like, so and so talked to so and someone knew so and it was just they got a group of core women. And just to know, as far as like the synergy that you had, it's just amazing, because I find that same synergy in chapters, right? And that's how we just grow. That's how we grew, which I know I found that at the Epsilon chapter. And that's something that I know we're proud of, is we had that foundation to grow off of.
Yeah, and I love that you share that. Well, actually, I've known these girls a lot longer than what most folks think, right? Like maybe for a lot of us, we're like, oh, they started in college and that's it. But I love that you're like, no, we've known each other and seen each other in a long time, for a long time. And I also think what's really interesting to think about is like, out of all of the girls that joined Hispanic Mother Daughter Program, which by the way, for those who are listening, is still a program that I would like to think we're still involved with. I know I was doing it 10 years ago at NAU and Flagstaff.
Hmm.
So I love that it's still a part of our rich
Yeah.
history, and a group and a program that we still continuously give back to, and want to be a part of. And I know for a fact there's plenty of sisters who continue to go through it and go through that pipeline. And so I think what's really awesome is to like think about, again, out of those girls that a program in seventh grade through high school, even then only there's still a very small number of girls that actually still make it to
Yeah.
college. And so to see these women on campus who broke through that part saying, okay, we're going to go for it and go to the next level, and to see each other, I can now hear the like, we were just kind of doing what we were doing, and there wasn't a lot of us,
Yeah.
which, thankfully our numbers are increasing. But I can only imagine then that to some extent we're still kind of saying the same story, and how important it is to just find folks that have a similar background, similar values, and just want to do better for ourselves and for our
Hmm.
families, is what at least I've been hearing from our founders and other sisters in the organization. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think just all these resource groups that are available to our community are so important. I know that I wouldn't have even felt that I had the capacity to pursue my future and to go to college had not I been part of the Hispanic Daughter Program. They were so instrumental in preparing us, take these courses. These are the scholarships you're going to apply for. They really built our little map of this is what you're going to do to get where you need to be. And of course, then the blessing of getting to ASU. I believe in destiny. I believe in God's work and us founders coming together, because I just find it so amazing that we are so different. But when we came together as a group, we all just fit in. And I know you probably all hear it and may be sick of hearing it, but we're like that puzzle piece where I'm this little piece. But when we come together, it's just like this perfect mosaic. And we always joke that we're one brain.
Mm.
Like, I may approach things one way,
Mm.
Amy approaches something differently. But at the end, like, we're all thinking the same thing. We're all communicating the same thing.
Wow.
So I think that, yeah, I was instrumental in having Gamma out there, being available to young ladies who need to find somewhere to belong. Even after you're done with college, having those resources and those sisters that you can reach out to is absolutely so important.
So can I just ask a question? The mother daughter program that you touched on, I guess I'm curious. So is that something that was just in Arizona, or is that something that then it helps you to get to ASU? Like, is that what that is? I'm just curious because I never heard of that. I know here in Epsilon we modeled a program called the Gamma Pales Gamma Rosa to try to get young girls, whether they were our nieces or our sisters or our cousins, to get involved in service. And that was our legacy pipeline, right? Trying to get that pipeline into the Epsilon chapter. Go to Parks, just go to college in general, but then find your place. And as Gamma, we were instilling that at a very young age. Is that
So
what that
this
is?
program at the beginning was just in the Phoenix Union School District. It was 7th and 8th
Okay.
graders who
Wow.
attended these. It was, I believe, every Thursday for a full year, 7th and 8th grade, with your mother. So you attended, you went to different workshops.
Wow.
The girls went here, the moms went there. They, educated our mothers on the importance of our future, of our education, how to fill out the FAFSA, all of that. Back then, we filled out the FAFSA
Wow.
with a pencil and so it was
Yeah.
overwhelming. So it was, yeah. And then after you were done with 8th grade and you completed that part of the program, there was a whole different part of it in high school. And so you were then attended monthly, once a month, but you still participated. And way into college, then you volunteered. But it was all about getting those young ladies who are in parts of the valley that maybe you wouldn't have felt that you could do it, that you would have the right resources. Getting them going and getting them the encouragement that they need and the education so that they could be ready when they want to go to community college or trade school, college, whatever it is.
Wow. I love that. I love that. Wow, what a great footprint. So, this goes right into our segue. Patsy, you mentioned how this helped to kind of establish you and help you prepare for that career path. So can you share how Gamma, impacted your career path, the journey of life? Because I know in your bio, you talked a lot about just what you've done, which is just stellar. So talk a little bit how Gamma impacted all of that career path and just your journey of life.
I think Gamma, what I love is that we are able to hold positions, if you'd like to, leadership positions, whether it's locally, regionally, or nationally. And being able to do that and being pushed, like I know Amy said, outside of your comfort, to speak at larger groups, to do roles that you may not always be comfortable with, was super instrumental for me. Just having that background of structure was very important. I'm a super structured person, even here at home. I'm just like, there's a structure, there's, things have to be done a certain way. But I think that it's helped me because aside from the fact that just life happens, sometimes life happens and there's a lot of chaos going on. But if you have that structure, you know that things can be achieved. And I think Gamma just prepared us for that at the beginning. And I know we shared, like, we didn't have the ability to text. We didn't have the ability to just get on and put something together. Like, we literally had our flip charts and we had our notebooks, and it was all by hand. And so it really required us to have organization, to be committed, to have that time management. If we were going to succeed, to have that drive. And so I had to learn to not be shy. And yeah, some people think I wasn't shy because I am kind of an extrovert. And I think that for me, the extrovert in me is a protective thing for me, just from stuff that I've had in my childhood. But I am really shy. I was actually, I'm not shy anymore, but I think Gamma pushed me out of that. And I really had to step outside of my comfort zone to get those sponsors, to get those girls to join that were like kind of at the first time, beginning hesitant. So many things. And then just having my sisters, my founders, who I don't know what I could do without them. Seriously, we go sometimes months, years without seeing each other. But I know that if I need someone at 2 a.m. because something's happened, I need someone at 10 a.m. because I just need you to just listen to me. I have a thought. I need to just, whatever it is, my sisters are there. So I think that that's been super instrumental in my career because I know their strengths that they have. I know who's a good speaker. I can run a speech for them or presentation. I know who is very well organized or is very good at project management, and I can reach out to them. So I think just it all comes full circle. Yeah.
I love that. And I actually want to just take a half a step back. You talk about the Hispanic Mother Daughter program. We just had Mother's Day. And so I'm curious what your mom would think right now. Like, would she ever thought that we're celebrating our 30th year, which she currently right now, this episode is available on our 30th. We're here at ASU in Tempe, Arizona. Have you had this conversation with your mom? And what does she think about just just the legacy that's happened and the work that y'all did in seventh grade to 30 years later?
So my mom has always been a really big supporter. Like she always said, if you really put your mind on it, you'll achieve it. But at the same time, I don't think that either her or my father, may he rest in peace, ever really grasped what we did. They were just like, in Spanish, she would tell me, es el grupo de la universidad, your group from the university. She still doesn't get a sorority. I try to explain it to her over and over, what we are, what we do. And today she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a podcast. Oh, what for? Oh, el grupo, the group from the sorority. Okay, I'll see you later. But she's super proud of me. I mean, I explain to her all the time, but I just think their generation, they didn't have that. So they really don't really grasp it. But I know that she's super proud. Yeah, for sure.
And I think just familia,
Yes.
like family, gente, it's our people. It's to me like this. I'm so blessed to have the sisterhood, like that I've created bonds with you, Patsy. I mean, you and I have that bond about the childhood and the trauma, and I know we've talked about that outside of
Absolutely.
this, and it's just, it means so much to know to have that support from all over. And to me, that is like beyond, it's like you can't even touch that or even explain it, because people, and even to our families, and I know my mom's a big supporter too, and she's just like, gosh, you guys do so much, all of your sisters, you guys do so much. And so she actually said, can I listen to the podcast? And I was like, you want to listen up? She goes, well, because when I hear you talking, it's
Oh,
very
man.
interesting, and I'm like, it is so she's kind of like wants to learn more, which I think is
Yeah, that
pretty
is
amazing.
awesome. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that so much.
That's actually a really good idea. I don't know why. I mean, I know we've only been talking about it within our org, but when I do think about our families and when we're trying to have that conversation, maybe this gives them a little bit of insight as to like, hey, I'm talking to a sister in Wisconsin right now. I'm talking to a sister in Arizona right now. I'm talking to a sister in San Diego right now. Like, maybe it'll give them a little bit more idea of like just so much good that has come out of it. And so, speaking of that, we are celebrating our 30th right now on the same campus that y'all mosaically came together. Like, how are you feeling right now? What are your thoughts? Like, I know that, and I'm curious also because you're talking about how some sisters probably are more talkative than most because of course we're gonna be hearing from all of you to celebrate, but we get to hear you on the podcast just a little bit of more mic time of what are your thoughts now that we are crossing the 30-year mark as Gamma Alpha Omega Sorority
It's
Incorporated.
surreal. It's sort of like I see you all and Gamma as my child, my first child. And so, like, my oldest daughter, just got her master's degrees in special education a few days ago. And to me, it's surreal because as I sat in her graduation, I'm sitting there and the emotions just came because I remember her going to preschool. And all of a sudden now she's this young lady who's going to educate others and make a difference in the community. So it's the same with you all. Like, I look
Mm.
back and I just can't, like, getting a little emotional here, but I just can't believe that we did this. Like I tell people all the time, like, yeah, we're awesome. We're in all these chapters, we're on all these states, and I have sisters who are doctors and lawyers, and that are making a difference, and are in law enforcement. I mean, we're all over the place, and so for me, it's just such a proud moment. But I just still can't believe it that us 19, 18-year-old, and for Michelle, 17-year-olds did this. Like it's really surreal. Absolutely. Like sometimes I'm just at a loss. And so when I go, and I know it's probably gonna be very emotional for us founders when we go to convention for our 30th, it's like like it's our child and you're all our children in a sense. And so it's just so emotional. It's such a proud moment. Like there aren't words sometimes to express how much you all mean to us, what Gamma means to us. And I will look at social media and look at you, Kay, and then I'll look at Sister Candace and all these sisters, and sometimes I'll just look at your in your social media pages just to see what you've done. it's like that mom who's just looking in like, what is my child doing now? It's just to see what you've done so I can cheer you on, so I can be proud of you. Um, yeah, it's surreal.
You're gonna
Yeah.
make me cry. You're really gonna make me cry. Oh my god, that means a lot. It does. I mean, and I just grateful. Like I've been living in an attitude of gratitude. Just so grateful for the life that I've been blessed with, and that I've been blessed with the sorority,
Absolutely.
and the sisterhood, the bond that we share, and like I love how Glada said we flexing our muscle because we got a podcast. Like when she said I'm flexing my muscle, I thought, oh my god, that made me
Oh,
so happy. She was so happy, and it just when you talk about, we're just as, like, I feel like when we talk to you, like you're like the elite, you're like someone famous in our eyes, like you're the founding mother. It's like, oh my god, like it's like, oh, you guys walk in the room, it's like
oh.
sunshine. So it's pretty awesome. So again, like, so sisterhood, right? Kind of the core of what we do, and the core of who we are. So Patsy, tell us a story about just sisterhood, like a moment with either a sister, which I know you have lots of sisters, but just the relationship that you have with the sister and or sisters, and just how it's developed over time, and then how do we sustain that sisterhood, right? Because that's what we want this to be lifelong. So tell us, your favorite sisterhood moment, favorite
Hmm.
sisterhood story.
Well, that's kind of,
There's probably
yes,
a lot, but if you could
yes.
pick one.
I think for me, it's my favorite relationship with sisters is the founders. I really can't say specifically one because they're all my go-tos. If I need someone to just tell me like it is, I know I have to go to Annette. If I need someone to be just analytical, that's going to be Amy. If I need love and compassion, um, it's always going to be a different sister. So I think for me, what's been most important in all of this is that portion of Gamma, the sisterhood I have, and that connection with my founders, because they've been with me through the greatest of times and the toughest of times. I've had Amy. Actually, we've been very fortunate to work together twice. So we worked at CenturyLink for over, I want to say, 15 years together, and then we also worked at the City of Phoenix for about 3 years. So I've been very fortunate that she's been there to help me support her in her career, and vice versa. Um, I've had, like when my father passed away, it happened, 2 in the morning, and Annette, without a doubt, just got in her car, came to be with me. So I've always had that really close relationship where I know that I can count on them. And I'm one of those that doesn't like to ask for help. I take care of something and I'll tell them afterwards, this is what I went through, this is how I took care of it. And then they scold me. So that's where I've seen our relationship shift. Like I've learned to depend on them and I've learned to ask them for help. But we're really just a unique group. Like we really do know when one needs of the other two. Like all of a sudden I'll be going through something and then I get a call from Val and she's like, or a message, hey, I'm thinking about you, I'm proud of you. And it's like, whoa, how did you know? Like I needed that, even if it's just 2 words, I'm proud of you, or whatever it is. So um but a funny story about Gamma. So we went to a convention, God, eons ago, I can't even remember the year, but it was in Lubbock, Texas. And let me tell you, it is the first and last time I will ever drive anywhere that is more than 5 hours with my sisters. It was the longest drive. It felt like, didn't we just pass here? Didn't we just pass here? It was forever. And I think it ended up being just 2 of us driving and the rest of them sleeping. And we were just like, okay, me and Annette driving. You take turns and then I take turns. But it was just a long drive, ladies. We will fly from here going forward.
They do say that when you travel, that's when you learn the most about each
Yes,
other.
yes, absolutely.
That's funny. I love it. Oh,
Yeah,
thank you for sharing. That was
of
awesome.
course.
Thank you for sharing.
Out of curiosity, what do they go to you for? If you go to tell it like it is from Annette and you need some analytical from Amy, what do you feel like they go to
Well,
you
I've
for?
worked a lot closer with Amy just because we just had that more contact. And I know that Amy sometimes comes to me for love. If she just needs to tell me what she's going through and
Mm.
just needs someone to listen to her and give her a hug. I know that Amy sometimes will come to me because she just needs to hear it like it is. And depending, especially on a professional level, I'm very good about that with her. Um, but I think for the most part, they come to me. I've been told that I'm like the cheerleader and the bubbly one of the group. So they come to me, I'm
Mm.
certain more than anything to feel good. But
Mm.
I think we all know that at the end of the day, we're there for each other no matter what. So
Yeah. You know what? I think that's a good point to talk about because I think a lot of times we end up maybe working with our sisters. How did you and Amy like sustain that? Like what, like if you could give us like any tips on like what it's like to work with your sisters, obviously beyond the organization post college, like I can't even imagine what that would look like, and how would you just keep that respectful and professional but also knowing that like we've kind of gone through some stuff together too, and being a part of this organization. Do you have any tips for sisters who might be potentially working
You
with
know, I
each other in
think
the future?
what worked with us is that we really weren't very vocal about the fact that we were sorority sisters, because I never wanted someone to feel, especially if at one point I was in a level above her, and then later on it was her above me, that they felt
Mm,
that there was favoritism, that I selected her for certain projects or vice versa because of that. So we were super careful about that. I mean, eventually it came out, but it wasn't like we just were very vocal about it. Not that we were ashamed, but I think that you have to be very careful in that sense. And we've always been brutally transparent with one
mm,
another and honest. And I think that that's been the key, is that we were very
mm-hmm.
transparent. We were very honest with one another. And I've just been really fortunate with Amy. She and I, our personalities just kind of work together. We're the yin and the yang. She's come out of her shell. But at the beginning, she was very timid, and I was a little bit more vocal and outgoing. But yeah, that was for us. What worked for us is just making sure that we supported one another, but we never made it seem like the reason we did was because we were sorority sisters, or even that we went to high school together, that we knew each other outside of work. Yeah,
And I think when you have that, though, it just
absolutely.
creates better synergy in the workplace. I mean, and I think I'm lucky enough, as you were describing that, I feel that currently. So here I live in Milwaukee, but I was born and raised in Racine, became part of Epsilon chapter, but the Malakata
Yeah,
sisters, between Jessica, Stacy, and Lala, and now all four of us are on a nonprofit
yeah,
organization, Por la Gente. And so with that organization, you got all four of us masterminds, good of all trades. Like, dude, we know what needs to get done, we know how it needs to get done, we already know how to communicate, we can read each other
yeah,
when one is stressed out or when one needs help here. And to me, it's like that's why that organization is so successful,
yeah,
because we built off of Yamma. And so we were able to take it to the nonprofit. And that's all volunteer. We don't get paid to
yeah,
do the work, but because we care about the mission. We're raising money for scholarships. So, yeah, so the way you describe that,
yeah.
Patsy, is exactly what I feel I have in a nonprofit organization,
Yeah.
because we're all
And
part
you're
of the
right.
board.
It's
So,
just the fact that we have
yeah.
that background of when we were on the board, or any position we held here locally, the fact that I already know how to read her, know her stress triggers. I can tell when I need to step away and just let her be. Helped a lot. And the fact that we knew each other's strengths, we definitely do. I mean, we've known each other since we were 16 years old. So a few decades for sure.
Wow. Can we just really talk about this? I need some elder wisdom right now. Because I think my generation and below, we're kind of struggling on the like sustaining of sisterhood. And I'm like 16 years old. I mean, I can't look at anyone that I've known since I was 16 years old. And I don't know if it's the only child in me or what, where I'm just like, I'm just gonna hang out by myself. A lot like you, Patsy. I'm like, if I have a problem, I'm just gonna handle it myself and I'll let y'all know if it's important enough. So yeah, just can you impart us like how in the world did y'all sustain over 30 years and then some? Because you said 16, so it's been a while. I think as us as young people, we're kind of struggling in the relational and communication skills and the sustenance of that, and I think it's also playing a role in the org too. So do you have any thoughts or words of wisdom for us on how to just really sustain through the ages and through
Well,
the
I'm
time?
also an only child, but I think,
Oh, there's too many only children in this room. Everybody get out. There's too
right?
many of us now. All three of us.
Right.
So, okay, enlighten me, please, because you're
So I
obviously
think for
doing
me,
something
it's
right.
I reach out for those relationships with sisters, because I never had a sister or a sibling to deal with. Number one, so when I could have those good relationships with anyone in my life, I hold on to it. Holding up those pillars of honesty, integrity. I am always honest. I want to make sure that I lead whatever relationship I have with integrity, with transparency, supporting one another, but also knowing when to give each other space. Sometimes you have those relationships where you won't see someone for 3, 4 years because they're going through something. You know that they may be overwhelmed, but you know when to come back in and pick up, and just you literally pick up. If it's one, I think a lot of it too has to be that some relationships are meant for, like they say, the season. Some are for a lifetime, but with us, it's just work because we just know how to respect one another, our boundaries. We can read one another and know when we need each other, when we just need to provide each other that space. So, yeah.
And I have to say, I was an only child until I met
Yes.
all of my biological family back in 2019. So then I have this huge family
Yeah.
in San Antonio, Texas, one sister in Chicago. But it's just crazy how, but growing up as an only child, I was able to gravitate towards like my cousins. But I remember the sisterhood, finding Gamma really helped to fill some of, I think I always felt that void. But then finally finding a family, it was just an extra added blessing to my life. And all my sisters always say, I'm glad you had the sorority. I'm glad you had those sisters there for you when we didn't even know, right? And so, like I
Absolutely.
said, blessings on top of blessings. So, yeah. So the way you
I
describe
agree.
that,
And I
Patsy,
think
it's amazing.
another important part of that too was that even though I have cousins, I think being at that time, or probably even now, is being Hispanic, wanting to do something more. They didn't grasp it. Oh, you're going to university, or you're doing a sorority. Like, they didn't get it. Whereas my sisters, who had the same vision and the same values, and they understood, and so that also made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love.
Do,
Go ahead.
yeah. No, go ahead, K-Short.
No, I was ready. I was ready to ask her. I was like, if she had any last words for our sisters, our actives, our inactives, our alum, our NEB. Just again, I don't know how much mic time you're gonna get here at Nationals, but I want to give that to you. Just like if you can say anything to us as an organization, like
I
what
think
would that be?
what I would encourage everyone is to be involved as little as you can or as much as you can. That is the key, because you never truly know when you're going to need those sisters in your life, when those relationships are going to be truly important for you. Sometimes they may be on a professional level, personal level, but just be involved if you can be involved while you're collegiate at your chapter. Once you're out, the alumni chapters, make sure that you do that. Or nationally, I know that it's not for everyone, and we are grown and we have our families, and it can be very difficult to juggle it all, but be involved in whatever way you can. That's going to be the key for our organization going forward, is to be involved if we're going to continue to grow and sustain.
I
Yeah.
love that.
And then Patsy, another thing, I was just thinking, from how would you describe our sisterhood, our Gamma Omega sorority sisterhood, in like 3 words or a phrase? Like, if you could just sum it up, right, in 3 words or a phrase, what would that be?
Beautiful, strong, and resilient. Yep. Absolutely.
Nice.
Yep.
Love it. Love that.
I love that. I love that because I don't know about y'all, and I don't know, maybe we can have an honest little snippet, but it kind of feels like a winter a little bit. Just, like just in terms of seasons, it kind of feels like a winter. And I think it's just kind of us as society, also culturally too. And so I think just again with Patsy saying like resilient, like how do we get through these winters? And then how do we get to enjoy it when it's spring? How do we get to enjoy it when it's summer and go back into fall? And I don't know if it's just what's going on in the rest of the world, but I love that you're saying like, hey, get involved at the very minimal level you can, if that means even just, I think even sometimes just still sustaining that relationship with a little or a big, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
so I really appreciate you for saying that. And so, at the end of all of this, is there any advice that you would give to your younger self through this whole process? So if I'm just thinking of if any younger ones coming behind you, what advice would you give to any future gammas potentially thinking about joining the organization or just wanting to
Well,
continue to be
for
involved with it?
myself, I wouldn't give myself advice. I've always believed that what's meant to be will be, and it happens for a reason. So I think everything that I've gone through in life has gotten me to this point. And I truly believe that everything that Gamma's gone through up to the 30 years has been for a reason. And we've had our bumps and bruises, but we're here. And if we've made it 30 years with these crazy girls who started back in 1993, who had no clue what they were doing, and they didn't have Snapchat and they didn't have technology, you all can do it. I just think it's just staying involved seriously, being honest with one another, and just pushing forward for the betterment, not just of us gammas and us sisters, but our community, because at the end of the day, we're here to serve our communities and to make a difference.
And I feel too, that's why K Short and I created this platform, right, is to be able to shine a light on everything that we've done for the past 30 years and be proud and stand tall with sisters hand in hand, arm in arm, and just be supportive. And you're right, giving back, because I always believe it comes back to 10 time fold, 1,000 time fold. And I think that's where all the blessings, and I think we're going to continue to grow because that's how we live. We show up for our communities, and I think that that's the best way to do. So Patsy, I know, a lot of times, like, we have Snapchat and we have Facebook Messenger. So how would sisters, if, listening, want to get connected with you, we always want to be able to give that, have that open door policy, right? Because again, this podcast is one way.
So
but how
on
can they get
Facebook, I
connected
believe
to
I'm
you?
under just Patsy Isherwood, or you can search Patsy Guardado, and I should still come up. I don't remember. I only have Instagram, and I think I have other social media, but I just don't remember my handles. Yeah,
It's a
but I
lot
know
of
on
work.
Instagram
It's a
you can
lot of
also
work.
find me under Patsy Isherwood or Mrs. Ish, I believe is either way you can find me. But if you message me, you can just on Facebook. I will respond, and I'm more than happy to give anyone my number, my private email, and you can always reach out. Absolutely, yeah.
I was ready to look for your
That's my
TikTok. Come on
son. That's
now.
not me. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Candace, any last questions, or Patsy, any last words before we head
I
on
just
out
want
and
to
get
thank
back
you
to
for the
nationals?
honor and the opportunity of being here. It was kind of weird doing this because I told her this is my first podcast and I listen to podcasts all the time. So, but just thank you for your commitment to the organization for doing this. And I know that it's on your own time and you don't get paid. And so I absolutely appreciate you and just all that you do, and the difference that you make for us and Gamma.
Oh, thank you. And Patsy, I'd like to invite you to my personal podcast,
Okay.
Unspoken Conversations with Candace. As that is a platform to share our stories and shine a light on our darkness and come out into the truth, right? And so I'll create an invitation and maybe we can record, or maybe I'll come visit AZ and we can have an in studio in your home,
Yeah.
or you can come to Wisconsin and be in my home studio. I do want to send you an invitation to the Hope Shining Blue event next year. I think if you were to take the time in April, which is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and come to an event where we celebrate survivors, I think that's something that you would truly enjoy. So
I'd
we will
love it.
follow
I'd
up
love it.
after
Thank you
this
so much.
podcast. Yes.
Wow, look at her on 2 podcasts. She's famous, y'all. Listen, you better get used to it.
So this is good practice for that episode. So, and this is what I love. It's all about just having a dialogue, conversation, and I just think that sisters are going to get so much from our stories here.
Look at Wisconsin over there with their trains. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to the United We Will Grow podcast. Again, exactly what Patsy talked about, how important it is for us to get involved. And as we are at nationals right now, just know that this next coming month is July, and we're going to be getting a new board. And so at the end of the day, like, yes, we're getting a new board, but I'm pretty sure there's going to still be some vacant positions. So if there's a way that you're like, hey, like, I want to level up my skills, I want to do something for the organization, I want to give back, make sure to reach out to our president at gammaofomega.com, and just in general, stay on top of our Greek management capital and just getting those memos and just finding ways for us to get involved. And again, it doesn't have to be in a big way, doesn't have to be on the NEB. Would that be nice? Yeah. But if that's not the season you're in, that's totally okay. A lot of times it's just really about reaching out to sisters that we did cross with. Maybe it's sisters that are active house. Man, I know our active house needs some hugs and love too, So getting involved any which way is always going to be important. And again, if you have any questions, you can always go to our Gamma link tree on our Instagram, which is going to be linktree/gamma 1993 for any information that you'd like to look for. And again, thank you so much for listening. I want to say thank you to Patsy for being here, Candace for always being an amazing co-host, and make sure to stay tuned for the next episode on July 25th.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.